What's up guys, welcome back to the channel, and this is the beginning of kind of some tutorials and just teaching people how to use operated camera, focus on settings, shoot cars when it comes to photo and video. So first thing I want to talk about is basically what's called your exposure triangle. Three things that you really need to shoot anything in photo and video. They have to be able to work and sync together. So you have three things. The first thing being shutter speed, which is like your 1/100. It kind of looks like a little fraction that you're going to be operating with. Sometimes on some cameras it will say like 100, 250, all the way up to 4,000, even 8,000 on some cameras. Your next is the aperture, which is like your f-stop, f2.8, is very common, f4.0, and then so forth. And then your third is what's called ISO, and that's basically artificial light. What it's doing is your camera is making that light with its processor. Usually the higher the ISO, the more grain and noise is what it's called, is going to make in your photo. So it's not going to look as clear, maybe as sharp. Now when it comes to shutter speed, you have to really pay attention to this, and it really depends on what you're shooting. So we're going to start talking with photo. We're just going to use the basics right now. We're not going to get into the video aspect. Basically what I'll do is I'll never shoot slower than 1/100. I'll keep that number, the bottom number of the fraction, which is 100, and then your top number is a 1. I'll usually go between 100 and all the way up to 4,000 or 8,000 because my camera is capable of doing that. Not all will be. Now, what you need to know also, the f-stop is really gonna be a huge change in what you're focusing on. So for example, if you have an f2.8 lens and you go all the way down to an f2.8, that image that whatever you're focusing on will be nice and sharp, and then the background can be nice and blurry. So when you're making your lens an f2.8, you're really opening up to get so much more light in. And so that's why f2.8 lenses actually will cost more, because they're able to do better in low light. Now, say you crank it all the way up to like an f22, your whole picture is gonna be in detail, but it's gonna be a lot longer for that sensor to process that image and all that light, because you're making that field of vision very narrow on that lens, which is causing it to have to take time to gather in all the light, all the data, all the detail of everything between the object, the forefront, and everything in the background. You need to understand the exposure triangle in order to create really great photos. Because say you're shooting at f2.8 or f4.0, and then you have ISO, at 200, but then your shutter speed's at 1/10, and you're trying to shoot a wedding or whatever, it's going to be very blurry because you're not shooting fast enough. Those people are moving faster than you can shoot. That's why you need to be able to shoot over like 1/250 or whatever, and be able to have your ISO not crank super high. And then you need to have your aperture at a certain number in order to be able to make all those three things work. And that's why lenses are also very important, and why f2.8s are more expensive, because you're able to do more with it. You're able to make more light in your photo without creating noise or without creating motion blur. So these are things to think about when you're going to purchase your gear, because you got to figure out what you're going to shoot, what camera's body is going to be good, because some will be able to do great in low light, like Sony cameras. Canon is okay, and it just depends on what you're trying to do. And so that's what you really need to look out for. Now, when it comes to shooting cars, it depends if you're doing it outdoor, indoor, or nighttime or daytime. So for example, at nighttime, I would put the camera on a tripod, so that way I can make it a really slow shutter speed to gain in all that light, and also shoot it like a nice f-stop and not have my ISO crazy high, because that way your photo is going to be nice and sharp. Now, if you were to hand hold the camera and do it at like 1/5 and a really slow shutter speed, it's going to be blurry. You're not going to be able to hold it tight for that long. So what you need to do is be able to put it on a tripod. Now, if you're shooting during the day, you may be shooting at 1/1000, and that's totally easy to do. And then you put your camera at maybe f4.0, whatever's easiest for you to get the detail, because some colors on cars is going to be really different from what you're shooting at. So sometimes f2.8 will make your highlights even a little bit more, and it just depends on the color of the car. You're going to learn that stuff as you go along. But basically, you need to just understand those basics. So you have your shutter speed, your aperture, and your ISO. And if you know all those three things, then it's going to really help you get out of automatic mode, because you want to learn how to shoot everything in manual. That way you have full control. So hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know what else you guys may want to see, what you want to do. And yeah, make sure you subscribe, click the like, do all those things that everyone tells you to do, but just do it, please. So help me out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, peace.